Hey gang, I'm really hoping you can hear me. I'm trying this on a new device. So I'm gonna give it a minute, see if anybody shows up so that they can confirm that you can hear me before I make this whole video without anyone being able to hear me, because that would be a bummer. I'm sure most people are probably outside today, as well you should be, because it is beautiful out. But in case you are cooling off inside, which I've had to do multiple times today because it's that warm. Well, good, James is here. James, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just send me a chat because I'm real worried that my audio is not working. I have no way to confirm. Uh-oh. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to keep going. Again, if you're just tuning in, let me know that you can hear me because I'm worried that people can't because I'm on a new device for this Facebook Live. We're going to wing it. Okay. So I am here today because I brought home last week the Forensics Bear Cub Adventure from our new base camp. I mean, they're not really new, but we are launching them with more gusto. Our base camp on the go kits. So our team has been working, oh, thank you, Dan. Our team has been working really hard assembling these kits, and we're gonna have lots of these available for people to take home and use with their dens, with their families, as you're able over the next however long we have to do this for. But it's a great way to engage with our curriculum and with our programming without having to kind of reinvent the wheel yourself. So you might have seen Chuck and I last week showing you kind of the makings of one of the Aware and Care kit that we have. So I took home the forensics one so that I could try it myself. And I wanted to kind of unpack it, show you what we've got, show you how simple this is to do at home on your own, so that when these are ready to go, you'll be excited to participate with us. So this is the, again, the Bear Cub Adventure for Forensics, which is awesome and so fun. So again, all the boxes are kind of going to look like this. I think it kind of looks like a giant Lego, which is pretty sweet. And as I unbox here, I'm going to kind of put this aside and show you all the stuff we have inside. Always in each of these, you will have a list of all the materials that are inside. This is great because it'll give you kind of a rundown on what you'll find in there, but also helpful when you're packing it back up to return to us to make sure that things didn't get lost in your house, which, spoiler alert, I already misplaced something from this kit in my house somewhere, but I will find it and we will return it before this goes out to the masses. You'll also always get one of these laminated packets that is the actual pages from the adventure that shows you what all the requirements are and gives you a breakdown of how to do most of the requirements, which is super helpful. Again, for context, if anybody doesn't know this, I am relatively new to scouting. I grew up with a lot of scouts, but I've never been a scout myself. I was a Girl Scout for a little while. So this was a great test for me because I'm not wildly familiar with it. So if you are a den leader or a new scout or a new parent or leader in scouting, these are awesome because you don't have to be intimidated by not knowing how everything works. This makes it so simple to engage and have fun on your own without needing to know lots of stuff about scouting. This kit, some of the requirements, and I did a couple of them, and I'm going to do some in front of you here now. One of them is take your fingerprints and learn how to analyze them, which is really cool. Also, a fun fact that they put in here that is always fun to tell kids about is that every single person has a unique fingerprint. Even identical twins have unique fingerprints, so not so identical after all. So you've got your take your fingerprints, learn how to analyze them. One of the really fun ones that I'll show you about in a minute is this kind of lesson on chromatography and how it's used to solve crimes. So I did a little experiment that you are able to do as well. And then what's also great is so many of these requirements or a lot of these adventures usually have something about encouraging kids to learn about careers in the field. And sometimes that can be one of the more daunting parts, but we have put together this awesome little packet of different careers in the field of forensics and a little bit about each of them. So forensic toxicologist, polygraph examiner, forensic pathologist, forensic anthropologist, lots of awesome different careers in the field that you can read a little bit about. You can learn about kind of what it takes to become those things. And it's a great way to kind of kickstart people's learning about that. The other nice thing you'll notice in some of these kits is if it fulfills any requirements for NOVA awards, which many of these do, you'll have a piece of paper in the kit denoting that. So that's super helpful if there's kids going after those great awards. So the first one that I really wanted to do with you guys is the fingerprint one, because I think it's always so cool to investigate your fingerprint. So this kit has everything you need for that, which is pretty simple. Washable, pretty important to have it be washable, because otherwise you are going to end up with fingerprints all over your house. Washable ink pad. And then there's paper in here too, but I like the idea of kind of using an index card so you could label the different people's fingerprints that you're doing this with. They encourage you in the adventure to do a left and a right. It'll be funny because I have a pretty significant cut on my right, so it'll make my fingerprint look kind of funny, but there's pens, markers, all kinds of things in here. I'm going to label left and right. And then, as you will find out, that spoiler alert that I said earlier about how I misplaced something, I misplaced the magnifying glass that you are going to have in this kit to help you really investigate and analyze your fingerprint. So I'll do my left first. I've got this here. I'm going to tilt this down a little bit. I've got this ink pad. I'm going to push my finger right on there, really get it nice and inky. Oh, yeah. And then the key is you really want to push it down. I'm going to use actually one of these laminated sheets. You want it to be nice and flat. If you kind of push it and smear it, it's not going to give you a good fingerprint. So you push and then lift right off. Oh yeah, that looks so good. Yeah. And of course, it kind of just looks kind of like dots, one, because I'm using this camera, but also because it's from far away. But once you get that magnifying glass out, that again, I will find in return, you will be able to really analyze and investigate different elements of each of your fingerprints and the different swirls and things and patterns. Oh yeah, you can really see the cut that I have on my finger. That nice big line up there. So there's my left and my right. And you're going to want to let this dry for a little bit. If you were doing this with a bigger group, and of course, I didn't bring things to wash my fingers off with, but I'm pretty careful. I'm going to write my name poorly because I'm trying not to get ink all over the place. Write my name so that I'll know whose this is. And you can kind of lay those out, let them dry. I am a teacher and soon to be mother, as you can tell. So I'm a big proponent of just wiping things on your legs. I'll wash it off later, just so I don't get ink all over everything else. So that's one of the requirements, is analyzing and looking at your fingerprints. Like I said, they have all kinds of information in here about how to go about that analysis, what you can discover, what you can find out, how to make sure you can identify different fingerprints. The next one that I wanted to show you guys that's like a really cool experiment, this, I always pronounce it wrong, chromatography. Yes, chromatography. So chromatography, as it says in here, is a big word that means color writing. It's a technique for separating mixtures of different chemicals. Most chromatography is done in labs with expensive equipment, but you can do a simple experiment using materials found around your home, or in this case, materials found in this kit that you picked up from us. So the materials you need for this one are coffee filters. As you can see, plenty of those provided in this kit. Some cups, plenty of those provided. And then markers. So I did a little bit of an experiment where it says you want a non-permanent marker. And so we have two different kinds that we supply you guys with. They recommend using black, but I think it would be awesome to do all kinds of experiments with different colored markers to see what happens and what colors get pulled out. So what you do is you take your coffee filters, you're going to cut them into a strip much longer than this. I don't have a good example here, but I'll show you in a minute the experiment I already did. Cut them into a nice long, inch-long strip, draw a line with your marker just about in the middle. And then you're going to end up dipping that in a cup with some water in it, and let the water absorb and move up through the ink. So I'll show you. This is going to be a little bit of a weird technology thing, but I did this a minute ago, and I took a little time-lapse video so I could see and watch it changing, and it has already changed. It's over here. I'll show you in a second. It has already changed actually quite a bit since I took this video. I labeled each of the cups because I did 2 different types of markers, 3 actually. I did the Crayola washable marker. I did this Crazy Art brand marker. And then even though it said not to do permanent marker, I just wanted to see what would happen. So I did a Sharpie, and I labeled the top of each of the strips. I did C for Crayola, Z for that Crazy Art, and S for Sharpie, so that I could see what would happen to each of them. They weren't wrong about the permanent marker. Nothing happened. Spoiler alert, sorry. So I'm going to show you a video on my phone. It's going to be a little bit weird, but you can see kind of how this moved. And it's not giving too much away, because you definitely have to do this experiment on your own at home. It's really interesting and cool to see what happens. And I would very much encourage people to try different colors and see what happens there too. So here's this video. It's only like 20 seconds long. So as you can see, the water's moving up through the ink and kind of separating out the ink, except on the Sharpie one where nothing is happening. So I see why they said that. But so as you can see, I kind of pushed them in because one of them quickly like floated to the bottom. So I kind of stuck them to the sides. By the end of this video, you can see they only get about, maybe halfway, almost to the top of the cup. And then the video starts over, and I'll show you what they look like now. And this is only over the course of maybe 5 minutes, so it does not take much. This, I'll point the camera down in a second, is the Crayola and the Z. Ready? So check that out. You can see how much more it's separated, and where the different colors, how they're kind of pulling through the paper and pulling through the water, and how everything's separating. We've got some of those lighter colors. You can see, it's kind of hard to see, but right at the top there's some blue kind of separating out from the black. You can see a lot of red separating out from the black in this one. So it is a really fun experiment. I thought it was pretty awesome. I want to dip all kinds of other colors and things. They recommend that after you have let the colors bleed through, you pull those strips out and lay them down on something to let them dry, and then you can really investigate it afterwards without making a mess or compromising your experiment. So that's a really awesome one that I really enjoyed doing. Other things that are in here in this kit that would be helpful for you. We've got this, first of all, you've got the scissors that you need to cut up your filters. You've got your index cards. We have a whole bunch of paper at the bottom of this just for doing any writing. There's scissors. I said scissors. There's tape. There are some pencils and a pencil sharpener. Lots of different types of markers and pens. And then what I think is especially helpful too is if you really want to dive into this and you want to do more research, not just on your computer, we have this great forensic science book right in the kit. So you can kind of explore this book and look for more details on, okay, I opened right up to taking fingerprints. So you can kind of dive in and get more information on each of these experiments that you're doing. So that is what I wanted to show you today. Again, I am not a scout leader. I am not a den leader. I am, relatively new to this compared to many of you, I'm sure. And so I wanted to show you guys just how simple and easy these kits make it for you to experiment and explore and kind of check some of these boxes to get your scouts moving through some of these really awesome adventures that they can do right at home with our help. So I know it's a bit of a tease, but we will be releasing the information that everybody's going to need in order to get you guys these kits and our process and procedures and how this is going to work to make sure everybody stays safe and healthy. These will be available for pickup at some of our different locations. We may even be implementing like a delivery service so that we can get these to you. As you can see, there's some parts of this that you're just going to throw away when you're done. There's many parts that are going to go back in, and we will be sanitizing thoroughly. We'll make sure everything is clean, everything's put back together. We'll make sure there's a magnifying glass in there, I promise. So that it's ready for the next group of people who wants to use it. So I hope you've enjoyed this a little bit. I know I had a ton of fun with this experiment, and I won't waste all these materials trying all kinds of different things. I'll leave that up to you. If you have done any of these at home, even before having our kit, show us some pictures. You know, I highly recommend. A lot of phones now have camera phones have a time-lapse feature. It's a great way to kind of be able to watch that transformation. So dive into the technology and see if you can find cool, fun ways to explore these experiments in different ways. So I'm going to reassemble this box so that it can go back and get sanitized and cleaned up and ready for everyone to use it. So stay tuned for more on our kits for Basecamp on the Go. It's going to be awesome. It's a great way to engage without being able to be together until we can, hopefully soon. Hopefully everyone is doing well out there. Please stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, and we hope to see you around in person soon, but if not, on the internet. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye.